Okay, I want to take some time to go over AutoQA, go over the full platform. Any questions that anybody has out there that's joining, I appreciate, and we will get to you. We've done a lot of really cool things, I think, to the platform. Again, trying to keep this thing as simple as possible, giving you just what you need, and kind of taking away the stuff that you don't use, the stuff that's confusing. Just breaking QA down to its purest form and making sure that you can score calls with ease, with really no training, no IT person or analyst need. This is all frontline kind of troops that can handle this. So let's get right into this. And again, we're on TikTok, Facebook, Twitter. Any of you guys have any questions, please let me know, and we'll go. So let's start with this, right? And this is kind of the behind the scenes of kind of what we do. And let me open up a test form for you and open up some of these questions. All right, let's do one more section here. Okay. So let me just start by saying this is the tip of our prompting iceberg. This is kind of the only thing that you really see. The magic where it really happens is in our system prompt, which is in the back end, where we're really have learned a lot from what we're telling the large language models of how to use this data, how to use the transcript, how to reiterate, how to make sure that we have accuracy where we need it to be. There's a lot of things that are happening back there that are pretty proprietary, and it took us a long time to really learn. But from a customer-facing standpoint, this is kind of the really cool stuff, right? And this is the stuff I think that can make sense. So we take your scorecard. If you like your scorecard how it is, we can match it exactly how you have it now. If you say, Tom, I don't really like our scorecard, we need help, then we have best practices, and we can help you totally redo or partially redo your entire form. But let's just say, for the sake of this, you like your form, you want it to match, right? We will take your form. We have seen about 80% of everyone's form is about the same, relatively speaking, when it comes to questions. Now, there's nuance to that, but openings, closings, empathy, call control, all of those type of things, we have prompts that we know work extremely well with all of the different models. And then we kind of nuance it and take what you guys have and make sure that it is matched to you. This is the biggest difference that you're going to see with the AutoQA platform is right or wrong is subjective. In a lot of platforms, right or wrong is not. It's either right or wrong. Bear with me here. We want to make sure that we are scoring each question like your internal team scores. We understand that some things are very black and white. The agent must do this. The agent must do that. The agent must not do this. We also understand that there's a lot of nuance to questions. Hey, on this question, we kind of give the agent a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. It's a little gray area. We have learned on how to put all of that nuance into these prompts. So when we say that we're scoring at a 96% accuracy rate, right, it's accurate to how your team is scoring, right, which is almost a different level than what you're going to see with a lot of the, kind of larger, kind of more complex platforms. Okay, the other thing is, we all know that AI can pick up keywords extremely well. So if there's a disclosure that has to be read verbatim, Otto's going to know that. Otto's going to pick that up. Otto's going to be able to score that 100 times out of 100. What the cool stuff is, though, is that we can nuance these prompts now, right? We say that we're looking for intent and outcomes, not just what is being said. My best example for this is empathy, right? Everyone's form and everybody out there, you have your form, and the only way that you've really been able to think through empathy is by what agents say, right? So when an agent says, I'm really sorry to hear that, ma'am, they might have said that 100 times. It may be the most kind of blah way of saying that the whole time, but they said those words. So boom, we check mark it with empathy. But you don't have to do that anymore, right? We can say things in our prompt like, hey, let's look through the entire transcript for any time that the customer brought up a pain point. Did the agent then say something? Did they react to it that brought the sentiment up, brought the tone up, maybe brought the tone down, depending on what we're looking for, right? We can now look for intent of the agent. We can look for outcome of the customer, right? Not just what is being said from kind of the old school analytics standpoint. That's a big change in kind of how this works and why I think, an AutoQA platform is just so powerful. The other thing that, we can do now is we can flag specific calls, right? Or I'm sorry, specific questions. So if you have a lot of customers are using this from the standpoint of, sorry, I don't have my mouse here. My mouse would work. From the standpoint of, did they say something about the Better Business Bureau? Did they say something about a lawyer? Right. So again, we can look at all of these things and we can nuance them and flag specific questions or sections. So a supervisor can be notified right away, right? If something not good just happened on that question, if the agent swore, if there's anything that kind of happens that is really important to you, to your call center, to your client, to your internal team, right? We can make sure that all of that gets flagged. We score on however you score. So if every question is worth 1 point, if it's worth 10 points, if some are worth 1, some are worth 10, whatever the nuance is to your scoring, we're totally fine with it. We will match your sections. We will match your questions. We can do things in binary. We can also do things in a rated section or question. So we can say yes or no. We can also say on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 through 5, how was this question answered? All that we figured out, all that we can prompt for, all that we can make sure that is matching your form. And then again, we look at call types, right? So again, when we talk about call types, we don't need War and Peace for you to explain what your call types are. And you might not know 100%, but if you know that you're getting, some type of sales call and a service call and maybe a password reset call, something like that, we will tell Otto that, and Otto will be able to listen for and then be able to categorize these call types. And the cool thing with that is, number one, it helps with the reporting, right? Makes it cleaner. And number two, Otto will know what questions to ask for what specific call types. So you don't have to have like multiple forms for everything, right? You can just have one form for all of your different call types, and Otto will know what to score and what not to score. Okay. So now we have this form. We build out your form. We build out your sections, right? And then let's go look at how we analyze calls. Now, there's multiple ways that we can do this. Number one is we have integrations built, right, with the major CCaaS players. So we can give you a full integration into most CCaaS. And if you have something that's kind of nuanced, we can just, create a quick connectivity with some APIs. But I want to show you this kind of the manual way. So everybody has this process that they can use as well. So if let's say you're a supervisor and you have two agents that you think they're struggling or they're not doing what they're supposed to, you can kind of one off and just score a bunch of their calls right away, right? To kind of help with that outside of the integration. So again, let's say, hey, we want to look at Allison and see what she's doing. We're going to use that same form that we just did. And then we say interaction, right? Because we can score voice, email, chat, SMS tickets, help desk tickets, right? Anything that you have where there's kind of a back and forth between the customer and an agent, we can score that, right? So let's select some of these interactions, and we'll select, I know I have some voice stuff here. So let's go down here and we'll select these two calls. Now you could do as many as you want, right? We have some customers that are using this way to do 50 to 100 calls at once. You just kind of download them, right? Or just copy them, right? Select them and then they'll show. So here's the two calls. We're going to click the analyze button. And now you're going to see these two calls. So what is happening now, the kind of the magic here, right, is we're taking these call recordings. It's going out to DeepGram. DeepGram is the company we have found to give us the best, most accurate transcript, right? So it's taking this voice, turning it into text, right? Normally takes maybe 10 seconds or so, right? It comes back to Otto, right? So we're in Azure or on Azure in the cloud. So we take that transcript and then we start doing the work with it, right? We take our giant system prompt that we have in the background, telling it, hey, this is the output that we want. This is how we want our sentiment scored. This is how we want to make sure that we are accurate and that we're scaling this properly. We take that form that you saw with all the prompting there. Then we take that transcript, we append it into a giant prompt, and we send it out to the large language models, which is happening right now. So everybody's talking about ChatGPT, and while we initially were using ChatGPT, we have found that Claude 3.5 Sonnet is just light years ahead of accuracy when it comes to our use case. So right now, for all of our customers, we're using Sonnet 3.5 from Anthropic. All right. So once we get that call scored, it comes back, and this is kind of what it looks like. Let's take that Allison, same Allison call that we just did. Okay. So this is the form. And let me just, before we get into this form, I wanted this form not to be complicated. I wanted it not to be complex, but I wanted it to be full of data, right? So I want this to kind of be the, for us in a BPO and for my customers, everything that I wanted in a scoring form that I would want an agent to do for us, we said, let's do that and then take it a little bit higher and a little bit more, but let's not make this complicated. Let's make this as clean as we possibly can. So that's kind of what we've done. So if you see here, the transcript for that call took 27 seconds. The analysis at the large language model with Sonnet took 22 seconds, right? We get the overall score. We have a sentiment prompt that we're prompting for in our system prompt. So you'll get customer sentiment, you'll get agent sentiment on the call. That's overall sentiment, right? We look at 4 areas that the agent did well on the call. Right? 4 areas where they could have improved just specifically on this call. Right? And that's not hard coded in. This is based on your form. This is based on what they did on the call. Right? And you get that automatic coaching aspect right every single time where you can kind of look and kind of get that snapshot of what the agent did and how they could have improved. And then also some of the things, we got to talk about some of the things that these agents are doing well. Right? This isn't just kind of beat the agent up. Let's talk about the holistic approach to the call. Okay, we look at the call summary. Everybody is paying, and all the CCaaS providers are sometimes 8 to 9 cents per call summary that you're getting, right? We give you the full call summary on every single call that we score. Now, this is a very narrow look at it, right? We can make these as robust as long as you want. We can make sure that there's specific data, or from a PCI or HIPAA standpoint, from a security standpoint, some data is not in there, right? Fully customizable to kind of what you would like. And then we look at our scorecard, right? So we have the actual questions that we talked about in the questions and then in the form, right? How Otto scored them. If you want to know why Otto scored what it did, just click on the question mark. And Otto will tell you now the agent was ready at the beginning of the call, promptly answered the customer, greeting them in a clear and a prepared manner, right? That's what Otto heard. So boom, gave the agent the points, scored it as a yes, right? As you will see down here then, this is kind of cool. And this is what we talked about with the different call types, right? This was a retention call. So when it came to, did the agent secure an MOP? MOP for this is a method of payment, right? A credit card, a debit card. Did they secure that? Well, it's NA'd. Why? Why was it NA'd? Because the call was not a sales or an enrollment call. So they didn't have to select a method of payment. Otto will know that, right? Based on the call types that we set up and based on how we're prompting for things, right? It learns kind of what is what, right, for the different specific call types. So again, you don't have to create a sales form, a service form, a password reset form. Everything can be done on one form, and then we can NA it, we can score it. But again, it's totally up to you on how you'd want things scored. So again, just to kind of scroll up and down, this looks just like how you would score things, right? If you're using Excel spreadsheets, if you're using a QMA form, it's just cleaner. It's better. We can ask more questions, and we're doing it with AI, right? But it's not difficult to understand. And anytime that you want to know why something happened, it's right there for you. I mean, how many times have you asked your QA person, why did you score it that way? Well, hold on, let me check my notes. Oh, boom, this stuff's right here. Okay, all of this is downloadable, right? So you can download, you can delete these, you can download them, right? If you want to see all of the expanded rationales, you can click on that button, and now all of the yeses, all of the rationales will come and be there for you. So you don't have to click on it either, right? Just something that a customer wanted. Okay. We then have an employee portal, right? So if you'd like your employees to see their scoring, to see their forms, you can set it up this way. If you just want the supervisor to do it, obviously everything is role-based, right? So then you can look at here's Allison, right? She's done 10 evaluations this month. We've done on her. Her average score is a 95. This is her scoring, what she's been doing by different call types. That she's doing pretty well, but technical support, she's a little bit lower. So maybe we need to help her out a little bit with that. But then she can look and she can see all of her scoring. And again, this is all demo data. That's why everything's not filled completely. But as things get filled, right, you'll have the entire thing. Let's see if I did, previous month. Allison will have some more in there, right? Okay, and then here's all of her forms, so that she can look at, or supervisor can look at. The dashboard. We've done a lot of work on this, and I think that this is becoming really intuitive, really cool, and really, really easy to use. So again, when you look at this dashboard, there's a couple filtering aspects of this. Number one, which I think is cool, is the team aspect, right? We're an outsourcer. We're a BPO at heart, right? So we have to have things set up by clients and then by teams. So if your internal team, let's say you have 500 agents, you have 20 supervisors, and roughly, you have a 15, 20, 30 to 1, whatever your ratio is. If you want to set up your supervisors to just be able to see their team, then you can just do that, right? They'll just focus on their 15 agents, on their 20 agents. You don't have to look at the entire contact center. Everything on the dashboard will then score by that team, right? We're looking at, how many analysis were run, the highest score, your average score, lowest score, overall sentiment, right? This is how many calls are being scored and what your average score is. And again, this is all dummy stuff, so it's not going to be totally kind of indicative of a live contact center, because we're using live data, but we're not doing this for a customer. So, you can kind of see the nuance to that. You have your highest performing agents, your lowest performing agents for a specific time period. Most improved agents, your call types, I think is really important, right? How is your overall contact center scoring on your call types, right? Is there an issue here? And then I think what for me is the most helpful from kind of a marketing and from an overall contact center scoring standpoint is we give you the form that you have in the macro, right? So you look at all of your specific questions, right? Did the agent verify the name, date of birth, and complete address? If 45% of the time you're seeing the overall contact center, or you're seeing a specific team or an agent say no, when maybe that has to be done 90% of the time or 100% of the time, you have an issue here, right? This can be awesome for sales calls, right? Are they using the proper rebuttal? You can make sure that specific things that you have nuanced in your contact center are actually happening, and they're happening at scale. You can't get this type of information when you're scoring 3 calls per agent per week, right? The other really cool thing with this is while this is really awesome for agent behavior, this is also really good for customer behavior. Do you want to know why customers are calling in to cancel? Well, let's ask those questions. Let's get a dashboard just like this, right? All we need to do is add another section to your form and start to ask things like, we have an awesome, our longest running customer. They've been absolutely unbelievable. And they're not using this for agent behaviors. They're using this again for why customers are canceling. So they'll have 8 or 9 questions that we're asking, Is it too expensive? Was it, did someone not show up? Was there a problem with customer support? And then, we can get into subcategories where, hey, couldn't afford. Well, why couldn't they afford it, right? Did they lose their job? Is the product too expensive? Right? You can get really detailed marketing data, and you don't have to be a freaking genius PhD analyst, right, to be able to instantly see the information that you're looking at, because this is tailored for frontline, and as easy as you can possibly view this to get the information that you need. So again, this dashboard is just, there's no cost extra for this, but we have all of your questions and any other question that we want to ask, right? We throw it on the dashboard, do it in the macro, give you really some really, really cool insights. All right. We talked about teams, right? So you can break up your contact center into teams, right? You just create a team. How easy is that? Put in the name, right? A team lead, and then select what agent you want, right? We want these, 3 to be on our team, slide it over, hit the save button. And now Tom's team or Julie's team, whatever is saved. And now you're able to sort and look at just team-based data. The question is, can you have multiple agents on multiple teams? Yes, you can. We have that a lot, right? When that is needed. So again, this is very customizable to any way that you want to utilize it, the way you want to see data. We've tried to make it as easy as possible. Pre-built reports. And I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this, but we have a scorecard, right? Because a lot of times customers wanted, to have we did 100 calls for a specific agent, to have those summarized in a weekly manner. And then at the end of the month, because a lot of times these agents are incentivized off of their QA scores, and it just made things a lot easier. And then we have a full data download. So all of your information, all of your data can all be downloaded into a CSV, into an Excel format, so that you have all that. So if you want to do some cooler reporting, all of your information, all that data is exportable, and then you can use that for anything that you want from a reporting aspect. The other thing as well is we do have our integrations, as we talked about, and so you can create plans, right? So again, if we look at, again, this is just for CX1, it's just for our test. So, we set up this for CX1 or 5.9 or Genesis or whatever your CCAST is, right? Give it a name, and we're going to do this daily. And it's all, just for the sake of this, at 114, we're going to take that same form that we did. We're going to run 100 evaluations with this skill or this team ID with a minimum call duration of 20 seconds. So now when we save this every single day at 114, right, we're going to get 100 evaluations, right, instantly run. So you never have to do kind of that quote unquote, I hate the word manual, because you can do multiple forms at once with that analyze page that we have. But we also have this set up that you can run, as many evaluations as you want, on an ongoing basis through an integration as well. So, and again, these connections are really, really easy. The only thing that we need, so there's no setup, is just your API key and an API secret, right? It's crazy, right? How easy this is to set up. We really need no IT work, right? So there's very little cost or that you need to do to kind of set things up. Everything is done kind of on our end. We build all the prompts. We build everything out for you. Let me see if I missed. I don't think I missed really anything. Other than, let's talk about this quickly is everybody says, Tom, you're saying 96% calibrated. How the heck do you do that? And again, I would ask you that if any of you are looking for a QA platform for an AutoQA, ask that provider to do something like this for you. And I guarantee no one else is doing this. We are taking your form. So this is a mock customer form, right? These are all the questions along this top row. This is what the client scored things as. This is what Otto scored them as. So when our team is building out your prompts, this is what we look at. This is you have access to this, and we try to match or get this as close as possible. We won't even go to a proof of concept until we're 95, 96% calibrated with all of these different questions, right? So we make sure that how you are scoring things, we are scoring things. We take this is our kind of our check mark to get to a POC. Once we get to the proof of concept, we continue that process, because again, if you're doing 100 to 200 calls, we're going to get some weird stuff that comes in there that we're just going to have to nuance and work through. But once you're done with your proof of concept, we want you to feel really comfortable that this thing's going to score as good or better than the human staff that you have. The other thing with this is that there's no seat licenses. Like everything me being an outsourcer and a BPO, everything that I hated about the pricing of technology, I didn't do with this, right? So again, a total usage model. You want to do just 500 forms to test it out. You want to do 10,000 forms, whatever you want to do, we'll make that work for you. But there's no, 100 agent, 150 agents per seat, per license. You have, Susie quits the second day of the month. You're still paying for that license, or you forget to knock and prune your licenses at the end of the month. And so now you're fighting with, like, that's all done. Everything is just done fully on a usage model. You pay by the form, whatever you would like to do. We'll make it work for you. The setup fee, we're totally transparent. It's a $750 setup fee, but that setup fee includes all the work that we do. We build everything out for you. You do absolutely nothing. That also includes depending on the size of your project, a 50, 100, or 200 call, excuse me, proof of concept as well. So we tried to make this as easy as it can possibly be to onboard, as easy as possibly be to try the tool. Without these, not knowing what you're getting and signing a 3-year contract, and you're really worried about, oh my gosh, did I just make the right decision or not? Again, try us out for a month. You don't like us? You're out maybe a couple $100, right? There's no real commitment. I promise you though, that the cool thing is we've had no churn with any customer that we've had. Every customer that I don't say every, 60 to 70% of all the customers that we've started with are getting more. They're either putting this to another business unit, or they're just getting more forms after they've tested this, tried us out. So again, go to OttoQA, OttoQA.com if you want a demo. I'd love to. It's me personally that does all the demos. Love to take 15, 20 minutes, a half hour to kind of really sit down, look at your form, talk you through kind of what this would look like, and hopefully we can get you a proof of concept and automate your QA for you. So thank you guys. Any questions? Let me just check one more time. Any questions here on LinkedIn or anything? All right, good. All right. Thank you guys. Hopefully I'll see you soon with the demo.